I'm not training with the mentality, that I'm getting ready, to fight an icon, fight a legend. At the end of the day, he's just another man.
Have you ever wondered what happens when a legendary slugger who's dodged bullets of time steps back into the ring? Can a fighter with decades of aches and glory still outshine a hungry champion in his prime?
Trying to fight for my title. He's going in there trying to, take my title, and I got to do whatever.
From the moment word broke that Manny Pacquiao would face Mario Barrios, boxing fans held their breath. Two titans separated by a generation, brought together by fate, training, and sheer will. The stakes could not be higher. A living icon seeking one more chapter, a rising star aiming to cement his name. When Roy Jones Jr., one of the most electrifying athletes ever to lace up gloves, casts his verdict, the boxing world leans in. In this high-energy, satirical rundown, we'll dive into the nitty-gritty, the camp rumors, the ring legends' takes, and the blueprint for victory Roy laid out.
I would not be able to take credit for beating Pacquiao after he got knocked out by Marquez, because that's not the same Pacquiao.
Roy Jones Jr. knows power. He's felt it, unleashed it, and respected it. Watching Pacquiao train at 46, he's struck by the Filipino's laser focus and undimmed hunger. Manny isn't clocking miles on a treadmill for a paycheck. He's chasing history. He shifts direction like a hummingbird, disappears behind feints, then unloads punishing blows faster than Barrios can blink. Roy notes that at 46, many lose their legs before their fists, but Pacquiao's legs are still springboards, driving torque that births hurt. In Roy's eyes, Barrios faces a wall of guile and experience, not just weight classes and youth. The blueprint is clear. Cut the ring off, force Barrios into exchanges, and land that vicious left hand before he can reset.
The Pacquiao at the top of his game. But in society today, we'll call that person the best fighter ever.
Mario Barrios has his own rocket fuel. In peak physical shape, he punches with the ambition of a man who's survived adversity, climbing ranks one upset at a time. His trainer, Bob Santos, sharpened Barrios' jab into a keystone weapon, precise, probing, demoralizing. Barrios doesn't just throw combinations, he layers them, measuring reactions before committing. Yet Roy points out that Barrios' youth carries cockiness. That swagger can dull senses. In sparring clips, Roy saw Barrios chase flashy multi-punch bursts, 40 in 4 seconds, no less. But he also saw occasional overreach. The risk. Pacquiao's craft exploits any opening with surgical precision. Roy advises Barrios to temper the blitz, use the jab to set distance, and pick his moments, lest he find himself on the wrong end of a highlight reel counter.
When that's not how that goes. That's not reality. But in business.
But let's not pretend it's a men's fashion show. This is war. Manny's camp radiates confidence. In leaked gym footage, he punishes heavy bags, shadow boxes with the poise of younger days, and hooks focus mitts like a coiled spring. Critics point to his aged eyes, slower reflexes. Roy shrugs off those doubts. Power is the last thing to go, he says. Aged like fine scotch, Pacquiao's essence remains. Speed, timing, and a fighter's sixth sense. Roy recounts days sparring under Robert Guerrero. Manny's power felt the same then. If Roy's predictions hold, Barrios might be overwhelmed before round 5.
Fighter of the decade, 1990s. Passing on the torch to Manny Pacquiao, fighter of the 2000s.
Right.
Voices from the veteran chorus amplify the debate. Manuel Marquez, last man to floor Pacquiao, warns that aging joints and past fractures could betray him. Yet he admits that disciplined training preserves knockout force. Teddy Atlas, ever the skeptic, paints a dire picture of playing with fire. No matter how well you dress it up, a 46-year-old body can't ignore decades of punishment. Roy counters with an analogy. Even a 26-year-old can have his candle snuffed by one punch. The consensus? Boxing defies age occasionally, but only for those who respect its cost.
Any advice tonight for him?
Just be smart. Don't get overly aggressive. Try to be smart with your aggression.
Barrios fans wield optimism too. Sean Porter lauds Barrios' prime shape, labeling him tailor-made to walk into Pacquiao's counters and punish mistakes. Amir Khan points out that a long layoff dulls instinct, but concedes that one swift Barrios shot could rewrite expectations. Matchmakers whisper of a potential Pacquiao-Mayweather 2 if Manny prevailed, an enticing carrot for both fighters and networks. Roy chuckles. After Pacquiao stops Barrios, he'll have the world chasing his next hop.
Be smart with your aggression. Take your shots when you can, but don't go out there to just strictly knock him out. Just outbox him like you did last time, and when you get chances.
The satirical undercurrent can't be ignored. Boxing media revels in clickbait, Barrios to Richtofen, Pacquiao's age crisis. Yet those screams mask nuance. Roy advocates cutting through hype. He paints a chess match, not just bombs and bravado. The keys to victory: ring IQ, timing, and conditioning. For Pacquiao, maintaining peak cardio across 12 rounds means sticking to his old-school road work, 5 a.m. runs, jump ropes, and endless pad sessions. For Barrios, it's balancing explosive offense with cautious defense, mixing head movement, angles, and the stiff jab to keep Manny honest.
There's a few guys that I give more credit to than most people.
Right.
I saw this guy fighting at 135. How do you fight him at 1?
Training camps have become battlegrounds of attrition, where every drop of sweat counts toward destiny. Pacquiao's training remains rooted in the grit of old-school discipline. Early morning runs through rugged hills, endless rounds of shadow boxing until his arms ache, and mitt work so precise it slices through the air like a razor. In contrast, Barrios leans into the modern era. Biometric monitors track every heartbeat, altitude masks simulate high mountain exertion, and slow-motion video breakdowns dissect every movement, frame by frame, like a digital playbook. Tradition squares off against technology, each man believing his method carves the sharper warrior. Neither corner yields. Both blend the past's hard truths with today's tools. When those doors lock, only raw will and honed skill determine who emerges.
I'm at 168.
Right.
You understand me? Yeah. And he's still dangerous at 168. He ain't just no fight. You gotta.
Nutrition and recovery have become science fairs for fighters chasing prime performance. Pacquiao still favors lean protein, brown rice, and greens, a simple menu that fueled his glory years. Barrios supplements with shakes, high-octane energy gels, and cryotherapy sessions to speed muscle repair. Skeptics question whether modern recovery stunts toughness, while traditionalists warn against pampering bodies that must endure fists. In reality, both camps walk a line between resilience and innovation. Success resides in balance, respect for time-tested routines, cautious embrace of breakthroughs, and constant skepticism toward fads that promise too much.
Watch it, because he gonna get you if you ain't careful. If you ain't on your A game, he gonna ask Dana Rosenblatt. Going nothing on your A game.
Psychological warfare now starts on social feeds, where trash talk and meme campaigns flicker like sparklers before fireworks. Pacquiao's legacy renders insults quaint. He lets footwork and fading shadows send messages. Barrios uses his social channels to showcase pad sessions and flexed abs, an open taunt at global audiences. Roy Jones Jr. chuckles at both approaches, reminding fans that true intimidation unfolds when gloves touch and 4-ounce leather meets bone. Overconfidence can shatter like glass under a well-placed counter. In the end, bravado amounts to little more than sound and fury when the bell tolls.
Yeah. He gonna get you. And even at an old age, not many people beat Roberto Duran.
Right.
He did.
Coaches stand as chess masters, plotting every move from neutral corners. Freddie Roach remains the old guard, stern, unwavering, a living link to Pacquiao's prime. Every drill, every rest interval carries purpose beyond mere fitness. Bob Santos, meanwhile, directs Barrios' crew with surgical precision, blending tactical nuance with brute conditioning. Both men respect each other's craft. They've traded nods at weigh-ins and acknowledged the gravity of training nights. Yet when their fighters trade punches, there's no diplomacy, only the cold reality of competitive survival.
Tell me, Roberto went to UK with headgear, without headgear. Nigerian wore headgear. He made Nigerian.
Corners become sanctuaries and war rooms in each 3-minute interval. Between rounds, ice packs, and water calm breath. Words from cutmen and assistant trainers stoke fighting spirit. Pacquiao hears steady reminders to guard the body, to pick punches wisely, and to exploit Barrios' half-second lapses. Barrios, hearing his corner, absorbs mantras of pressure, jab, set feet, close distance. Roy compares corner advice to rhythm in jazz, guidance that shapes improvised brilliance. When their fighters return to center, they carry corner wisdom like talismans under the lights.
Nigel being like a beginner, and Nigel is much younger than him.
You
understand me?
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think of that.
Nigel was a
Fan culture fuels this spectacle, turning ringside into a carnival of hope and fear. Filipino flags ripple beside U.S. stars and Mexican banners in a global mosaic. Barrios' supporters tout youth and athleticism, chanting that the era of legends belongs to history. Pacquiao's fans respond with chants of faith and pride, confident that heart trumps youth. Both sides carry memories of past triumphs and near misses, feeding social media with predictions and prayers. The tension crescendos until silence falls and gloves meet.
Regular middleweight and super middleweight. This guy started lightweight. Lightweight.
Behind the scenes, promoters and networks calculate every angle. Pay-per-view buys, ticket sales, and streaming numbers. A Pacquiao win could spark rematch mania. Mayweather 2 whispers in executive suites. A Barrios upset would upend narratives, sending shockwaves through rankings and reshaping future matchups. Finance meets folklore as stakeholders hedge bets on legacy versus novelty. Still, money alone can't coax greatness into the ring. For true legends, pride and purpose eclipse any paycheck.
After a broken neck, as a lightweight, you gonna fight one of the best fighters.
Betting odds reflect uncertainty. Early lines might favor Barrios by a narrow margin, banking on youth and activity. As fight week nears, odds tighten or swing based on sparring reports and weight cut drama. Those following the action know lines shift faster than combinations in a title exchange. Roy warns punters, odds only measure perception, not inevitability. One perfectly timed hook can render months of analysis moot. In boxing, the scoreboard resets with every bell.
Ever, and you do it still. I was crying after the fight because I was afraid I didn't want to hurt his neck again.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to fight.
History offers parallels that tremble with irony. George Foreman reclaimed glory in 1994 at 45, suffocating Michael Moorer with experience power. Bernard Hopkins fought past 50 against logic and critics alike. Yet those comebacks skirt the edges of common sense. They're marvels, not maps. Pacquiao's challenge stands among those tales, carrying hope that legacies can defy age. Barrios, conversely, seeks a place in history by ending one. Their fight becomes more than a match. It's a junction of eras.
What he don't know is that for a while, I had pictures of him in my room.
Round-by-round predictions forecast a tactical opening that tests nerves. Round 1 likely features tentative jabs and foot feints as each man gauges distance. By round 3, Pacquiao's speed could puncture Barrios' guard, earning him minor edges. In mid-fight rounds, Barrios must counterpunch effectively or risk drifting off balance. Late rounds favor conditioning, and Pacquiao built his legend on relentless pace. If both endure, the judges' scorecards may hinge on who dictated tempo.
Stuff of him with the whole head thing on, because he was also an inspiration to me.
Wow.
Because
Scenarios diverge dramatically depending on early breaks. A first-round knockout would stun the sport, Barrios floored by that trademark left hook. A late stoppage would crown Pacquiao's endurance and ring IQ. A decision, whether narrow or wide, would fuel debates on scoring and boxing's future. In defeat, Barrios would earn respect for courage and open doors to renewed title shots. For Pacquiao, any win extends an already vast legend, perhaps prompting one final bout.
if you can go through what he went through and come back, why should I not be able to go
no
through
excuses.
it? You feel me? I had no excuses whatsoever.
That's cool.
Aftermath for Pacquiao holds profound possibilities. A victory might spur calls for exhibition bouts, charity matches, and political speeches that leverage his heroic glow. Networks may chase another pay-per-view windfall if he entertains rematch bids. Traditionalists will marvel at the boxer who refused to retire gracefully, choosing instead to fight history itself. Skeptics will remind him of age's price, urging retirement with mixed regret and relief. Above all, Pacquiao's legacy will grow richer and more complex, merging athletics, faith, and national pride.
No, what's up?
Wow.
I
You never knew that?
No, he didn't, because I ain't never told nobody.
Wow.
I had pictures of him with that head harness on.
Barrios' future depends on performance more than pedigree. A strong showing, even in defeat, could propel him into elite company, garnering lucrative offers and sponsorship. A lackluster loss, however, may expose gaps in his game, dropping his stock overnight. He risks being labeled "what if," a footnote rather than a name etched in gold. Yet victories against legends often define careers. Barrios' resolve to confront Pacquiao underscores ambition over caution, a choice that may earn him either glory or hardship.
Let me let you know what I'm saying. 154 to heavyweight is more weight to cover than the pounds.
Their clash reverberates beyond this bout, shaping boxing's direction. Does the sport celebrate returning stars or elevate rising talent? Promoters, trainers, and fans will watch results, weighing whether pay-per-view dollars favor veterans or fresh faces. Certain fighters may emulate Pacquiao's path, chasing comebacks at the cost of health. Others may focus on youth development, avoiding age-worn narratives. Boxing's next chapter will hinge on lessons from this fight's tale. As fight night nears, tension spools tight. The MGM Grand's lights will beam down on two warriors stepping into destiny. Roy's final call, Maverick meets Maestro. But the Maestro still crafts the symphony. Pacquiao's hand will rise. It won't be easy, but his legacy demands one last crescendo. Barrios may bite, but Roy trusts Manny's experience to prevail.
8 divisions for Manny Pacquiao. That's number 1. But number 2, heavyweight knocks the top off. See.
So here's the bottom line. No sugarcoating. The arena hums with electricity as fight night arrives, lights dimming and spotlights carving paths through haze. Ringside seats vibrate with the murmur of expectations. Will youth overpower wisdom? Or will a legend's craft outlast raw energy? As the fighters make their distinct walkouts, one to thunderous flag waving, the other to a chorus of analytical hype, the tone is set. Every footstep toward the ring carries stories of sacrifice, from broken ribs to sleepless nights on the treadmill. When the final bell rings to signal round 1, those stories converge into a living testament of human will.
When Manny fought at welterweight, there's still a limit. Roy went from 154 to heavyweight against guys with no limit. Come on, y'all, that's master.
Beneath the marquee bout, the undercard builds momentum, a parade of hopefuls, each dreaming of headlining glory. Their preliminary battles warm the crowd, forging a collective pulse that peaks just before the main event. In between rounds, the ring crew scrubs canvas marks into faint memories, preparing for the real spectacle. Fighters from earlier bouts linger at ringside, eyes glued to the center, imagining themselves in those ropes. Their silent reverence underscores that every champion's tale starts with humble beginnings under blinding lights. Commentators settle into their booths, scripts in hand, yet eyes wide with genuine intrigue. They debate punch stats, split-second reactions, and knockout probabilities, weaving narrative threads that guide viewers through each jab and pivot. With every slick combination, they layer context, reminding fans that a well-timed counter can eclipse a flurry of punches. No filler chatter here. Their analysis cuts to the core, questioning every tactic and praising each calculated risk. It's their balanced skepticism that lends credibility when the dust of flurries clears. In the mind of each fighter, mental fortitude becomes the ultimate weapon. Barrios grapples with imposter syndrome, haunted by highlights of younger Manny tearing through contenders. Pacquiao confronts doubts whispered by age itself. Can a body worn by decades endure another violent ballet? Both rely on visualization drills, picturing triumphs and crises in equal measure. When reality hits at 60 seconds per round, only that internal training stands between victory and regret.
Any advice for any children and youth on the benefit?
Corners transform into hothouses of strategy. Freddie Roach delivers concise, unwavering directions. Guard tighter, angle sharper, breathe measured. Across the aisle, Bob Santos tweaks Barrios' footwork with surgical precision, urging him to use the jab as both shield and springboard. Neither mentor shies from brutal honesty, each word a scalpel trimming distractions. Their guidance embodies a traditional outlook. Respect the craft, honor time-tested methods, but question every assumption.
Holy shit. That's a good question. Roy Jones from 154. You know, that's different than Bob Fitzsimmons.
Medical teams hover discreetly, a silent reminder of boxing's inherent danger. Cutmen stand ready with coagulant and ice, knowing that a gash can shift momentum. Ringside doctors watch vital signs, ever alert to the hidden price of glory. These professionals balance their Hippocratic oath against the spectacle's demands, a sobering counterpoint to the roaring crowd. Their presence underscores that beneath bravado lies a fragile vessel of flesh and bone. When the final scorecards arrive, they carry more than numbers. They etch career arcs into history. A dominant win for Pacquiao might inspire fellow veterans. A gallant loss for Barrios could cement his reputation as a warrior. Upsets rewrite rankings overnight, drawing big data analysts into frantic recalculations of future matchups. Legacy and potential clash in those summarized totals. Round-by-round tallies morph into narratives of renaissance or promise unfulfilled.
Like heavyweight, I don't know if that can happen again. 8th division, that's highly unlikely as well. Oh, okay. Not the fact that he's 8th division.
Speaking of big data, fun fact, if each punch were logged by sensors, a single 2-month training cycle could generate hundreds of megabytes of performance metrics, akin to a small-scale data warehouse. Trainers with a Python mindset might script routines to parse punch velocity, fatigue patterns, and reaction times, tuning regimens with programmatic precision. This fusion of old-school sweat and modern analytics embodies today's sport. Grounded in tradition, yet eager to innovate.
Division champion is 154 to heavyweight greater than 8th division. Manny's 8th division. Yes, that's harder to do. Let me.
As the crowd files out, echoes of the night linger in memory and social feeds alike. Hashtags surge, memes proliferate, and highlight reels loop that decisive left hook or that spinning back foot. The dialogue shifts seamlessly from live critique to retrospective admiration, fueling ideations for future bouts. Boxing's grand tapestry grows richer with each chapter, weaving stories of perseverance, strategy, and the unrelenting human spirit. So here's the final note. Whether you champion Pacquiao's seasoned artistry or Barrios' vibrant hunger, this fight becomes part of your own story. Hit subscribe, punch that like button, and drop your thoughts below, because in this timeless sport, every voice counts as fiercely as every punch.